Okay. Try to, like, the goal now, like, I'm going to take the base ship over to a spot that I know of that is a good source of ice. So I'm gonna go over there. I'm gonna probably put a bunch of hydrogen tanks on, put some landing gear on, and put a hell of a lot more downward thrusters on. We are still probably going to be quite heavy. I'm going to go through and have a look and see what the state of, like, what ores I've got. I've been dumping gravel, like a lot of gravel, so which is fine. Like, you can always make more fairly easily. Yeah, hang on, just try to stay focused a little bit. Got a little bit of a headache going on at the moment, which is never fun. Rectify that. Painkillers. Feel the start of a migraine coming on, which is not much fun. I haven't had one for a while. I'm a little unaccustomed to it. Anyway, so yeah, what I'll do first off is start by dumping all the ore and ice into the same cargo container, or as best I can, at least anyway. Still processing all that cobalt I picked up earlier on. The other thing I'll want to do is, well, it's just a little bit of tidying up at the moment. So alright, I'm going to leave the ice in there and there, obviously. It's a lot of magnesium. I'll chuck this back up in that one there with the ice. That one's got a lot of ice in it too. We probably don't need to go and pick up ice. We've probably got full tanks all the way around, so probably don't need to go over to the other spot. Yeah, because all the O2H2 gens, they're full, and I've got like 3 megatons of ice. Don't really need it. I'm going to put on more hydrogen tanks. Like, I'll stick them on either side here. But what I was thinking of doing was, if I, well, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different ways I can go about this, but like those thrusters there, they're kind of, well, they've always been in the way a little bit, but yeah, if I make it a little bit wider here, I don't know, I'll wing it. First things first though, we'll take all this crap off production, because we don't need those the superconductors. We'll probably need those reactor components, but it doesn't matter, we've probably got a bunch anyway. Whoops, 6 and 7. There we go. Okay, now what I want to do is... oops, if I can spell it properly. I'll probably make 30 of these. Yeah, so we've just put on like 3 lots of 10 onto production there. So probably what I'll end up doing is just whacking another 15 on each side. I think that'd be the way to go. We probably want to have more thrust in the sideways directions as well. Like over on this side here, like I wanted more forward thrust, and that's why this looks like this. Now I'm going to need another sideways thruster, but I might do the same thing over the other side as what I've done there, where these have come out wider. Move that one out to here and add on another 4 hydrogen tanks there, like that, and stick 8 on the other side. So that way it's the same on both sides. It doesn't have to be. If I do 8 on each side, that's only 16. So, but I can always come out further on each side because, yeah, you can just connect the thrusters onto these ports here. So I think, yeah, we'll lay them out first. It's going to take a while to weld all this stuff up, which is the most tedious part of it. So one there. Oops. Okay, again, this is not going to be an aesthetically pleasing build, but it is going to be a functional build in theory. The other thing that I'm probably going to need to do is add stacks more gyros on, because making sure that I don't end up tipping over whilst on the way down is going to be crucial, because if I go past a certain point, I can't keep the downward thrusters facing in the direction I want them to go, we are going to have a very bad time. So, come on, there we go. So that's 8 there. The only reason why I'm adding so many is because we are going to be very, very heavy. Comparative to other builds that I've done before, so but once we get it down on the ground and we get it locked, everything will be fine. So what was that? That was 8 plus 3. I don't know. It's going to be quite a lot. It's 11. So 22 down thrusters on each side. I don't know if that's going to be enough though. It's like, in theory it should be, because these are supposed to do a megaton each of gross mass, but I've had issues with that before, and more is always better. the other thing that I'll have to do, going down to the planet, I want to make sure that I can get to the, like, get to things without worrying about whether or not, like, my jetpacks run out, because it frequently does. Now, something that I always end up forgetting to do, even though I think, nah, I'm going to grab a hydrogen bottle, I always forget to. So I need to be able to get to a hydrogen bottle without the jetpack. So I'll put them on the back. Now the point of this is, like, I've got a lot of assemblers, a lot of refineries. Now, I don't need all the refineries to help someone start a base or something like that. Put them at the back? Yeah, I did. Okay, so I'll take out this thruster here.
Inventory full. Inventory full. Inventory full. Inventory full.
Then I'll chuck on those hydrogen tanks. Like this. I'll add those to the build planner as well. And I put it in the wrong spot. Now, the difference between those conveyor ports there, these ones I can't pull parts out of. They only pass fuel, but they will move. They will conveyor parts and ammunition and all sorts of stuff throughout the rest of the ship, but you can't draw parts out. Whereas the grey ones like that, you can. So yeah, if you're wondering about that or you are having trouble with it, that is a feature, not a bug. It is what it is. Okay, we'll try again. And I've probably already got, yep, I do too, so.
Energy
because that seems to be really dragging the power. It looks like a gas welder, but it uses up your suit electricity. Maybe it's a TIG, I don't know. You don't need gas for it though. It's a magic TIG. Which, yeah, if you do work as a welder, like, yeah, I enjoyed welding. Like, I didn't enjoy going, like, getting blinded by the damn thing. Like, I mainly did stick welding. Never really did much, didn't have a lot of time with TIG. I would have liked to have spent more time with TIG, but the gas is so damn expensive. Which is unfortunate. Like, it is difficult to get your skills up with that. MIG welder. I've never owned a MIG welder. I've made, like, all the stuff I've done, like, at home or whatever, I'll just do with a stick. Because it is the cheapest and easiest way to do it, in my opinion. Well, that's not true. The stick is not easier than MIG by any stretch of the imagination once you've got the MIG dialed in. Then MIG is like a hot glue gun with metal. Although the UV coming off the MIG is a lot worse than it is with stick. I have gotten sunburnt many times from the MIG, whereas not so much with the stick. Yeah, the UV can be quite bad from the MIG. I don't know why, like, mainly because I've never looked into it, or never really thought about it. But the thing that makes a MIG easier, typically, is you pull the trigger and then it will feed your wire an arc as well. Whereas with the stick, you have to strike the arc, and that's where it gets hard. But once you get the hang of stick, like, it is very easy. Like, there's a lot of things that I wasn't taught when I was taught how to do it. Like, after going out and doing it in the workplace and watching the more experienced guys do it, like, they showed me a lot of things to make it easier, like how to strike the arc in a much easier way, like using one hand to hold the stick and the other hand to hold the like where you're supposed to hold it to get the arc struck initially. Like, obviously wearing gloves doing this, like big welding gloves, and they can't be wet, otherwise you could get zapped. Like, and yeah, they can, like, if you're working in summer in Australia, you can actually sweat through your gloves and you can get zapped. Like, you might not die, but there is a chance, so you don't want to risk it. Like, I know a lot of people that have been zapped by TIGs. That's not much fun, although they thought it was funny. But some of the coolest welders that I've seen are the guys that do the underwater stuff. Like, it's crazy seeing them weld underwater. Like, that spins me out. Like, I can see how it works and all the rest of that sort of stuff, but yeah. Never tried it. And also, like, you got to put a lot of faith in the person who is turning your power on and off. Basically, the person operating your foot switch. Is if they decide to turn it on at the wrong time and you are between the workpiece and or the ground and your electrode, you are going to get fried, and people have died that way, it would be an incredibly dangerous thing to do. But I think it would be like, yeah, if I was younger and fitter and able to dive. Like, I've never gone scuba diving, something that I did really want to give a go, but it was on the list of things that I never got around to doing. So I have gone skydiving though, so botched that one. Wasn't giving me my tubes. Okay, we've got those tanks built. Now we can place the other hydrogen thrusters. Need steel plate. But yeah, welding is really not that hard. Once you get the hang of it, it's the same as anything though, any manual skill. Like, you know, I've heard a lot of people say, oh, you know, I could never do anything like that. And it's like, that's not true. If you had to do it, you would figure it out. Or, you know, if you were to be taught, then you would know how to do it. It's not an impossible thing for anybody to do, unless, of course, you've got no hands or you're blind. They would be two significant things to prevent you from being able to do it, but like, yeah, if you didn't have hands, you can't, like, yeah, not trying to denigrate anybody. I'm sure that there's somebody out there with no hands that was a welder previously that may have got an attachment made. I mean, I could think of a way that that could be done, like something that I was actually looking at back when I still was looking at all the learning mechatronics and stuff like that, was making prosthetics affordable. That would have been a really fun project to do, like, because it was about 5 or 6 years ago. Actually, it was probably a bit more than that now. There was a lot of research being done into making affordable prosthetics for, like, you know, hands, feet, and stuff like that. Because they are very expensive things, and with new technologies like 3D printing for a start, as well as 3D scanning is the big thing as well, making sure that it is going to fit the person that it's being put on is the big thing, because you can cause a lot of injuries by having poorly fitting prosthesis. So I mean, you think wearing a pair of shoes that doesn't fit is bad. Like, it's even worse with a prosthetic from people that I know that have lost limbs. And blisters and sores and all sorts of nasty shit that goes on there. But the thing that prosthetics can do as well is help with phantom limb syndrome. Like, the other thing that was being done with a lot of stuff that's, like, well researched now, but it was bleeding edge when I was first looking into it, was feedback systems, so that you could put heat and touch sensors into the prosthesis that would feedback into the user's body, so they could actually feel what they're touching, or it gave them a sensation of feeling. And there was looking at it from the neural science point of view, like, yeah, there was a lot of potential in it. I don't know, I haven't really looked at it recently, but yeah, it would have been a lot of fun to work on stuff like that, to try and, you know, improve quality of life for people that have had an unfortunate time with things. But also the being able to control it without having to put implants in and stuff like that, using nerve sensors on the skin, because the nerve endings are still there. So if you can figure out a way to tap those nerve endings without having to go into the body, you know, Elon Musk was talking about doing stuff with prosthetics with Neuralink, which, you know, I think has got a lot of potential for good things. But the thing that I see about it is from like anytime you have a computer system, that computer system, like, you know, he was talking about making it wireless, which makes sense because if you're going to implant something into the human body, you want it to not have, you know, you want to be able to make adjustments to it and repair it or whatever, upgrade the software or whatever, without having to chop someone open to pull the parts out and just do a firmware patch or something or a bug fix. Especially with new technology, you're going to be going through a lot of that stuff. Now the problem with that is if you're basically putting a Wi-Fi link straight into someone's brain, and the security aspects of that, to me, are quite concerning. I would not get a Neuralink myself based on, I know that I could hack it, even though I don't want to. I can see how it can be done, and I'm not a motivated person as far as that goes. So someone who is motivated to do nefarious things with it could do a lot of nasty stuff to people. Yeah, I can see so many security flaws with it. Like I said, if I can hack it, anybody, like someone with intent could hack it, and that's not a good thing. Like, I'm not a brilliant programmer by any stretch of the imagination. Like, I can't code for shit. I can write, I can design programs. It's a different thing to coding. Using logic diagrams and all the rest of that shit. I've been doing that ever since I was little. There is limited programming I can do. Been doing that ever since I was like 5 years old. Like ever since before I, well, been able to read since I was 2. So, but yeah, programming was not really something I did until I was about 5. But yeah, like once I learned how to do that, you know, programming in BASIC, it seemed relatively simple, but the main skill that I gained was not necessarily coding itself. It was how to design or to block out or map out the function of what I wanted the program to do, and then it will translate into any language after that, and that's when it comes down to coding. But yeah, when I was like doing it at TAFE and school and all sorts of stuff like that, I really lost interest in it because there was too much shit that was changing too quickly. It's like by the time you'd finish one course, like there was the technology boom was going on and everything was changing way too rapidly, and like I needed money, so I went and became a labourer, so to say. I learned how to weld, make stuff out of metal, wood, whatever, make things out of raw materials, which is a good job too. I mean, very hard on your body though. Like when you're young, it's fine to go and lift heavy things all day, but when you get older, you can't do that shit anymore. So I was actually thinking of going back and learning how to code again, and that was proving to be quite difficult. Like mainly because like trying to sit there and focus on getting everything working, very difficult circumstances, was proving to be quite tough. But, you know, the other problem that I have with it is, yeah, I could write a program to do anything you want, but I couldn't think of what I wanted it to do. That was the other problem that I had. There's a lack of reason to go and program. Like when I was, like I built 3D printers and all sorts of cool stuff like that from scratch. And also started looking at doing pen testing and other cool things like that, because that looked like it'd be fun. That's not really building things, that's more pulling things apart. But I do like to see how systems work. There is a lot of fun in that. Like, when I was a teenager, like, reverse engineering software was a lot of fun for for me. It was like the ultimate Rubik's Cube. I wasn't brilliant at it. But, yeah, I learned a lot. But yeah, you don't do something for like 5 years when it comes to IT stuff, and you end up getting left a long way behind. You've got a lot of catching up to do, because 5 years is a very long time to spend not using computers. Like, because I completely went off and went full mechanic sort of direction. And, like, because that's where like I was making money. Plus, like, you know, that was my part-time job, was working that sort of stuff. Mainly what I'd do is I'd be playing music. Like, during the day, I'd look after my kids. Mrs., she was a manager in a supermarket, like when they were little, up until her shop got sold. I would work in engineering, actually, like, because we needed the money. So yeah, I ended up doing that, and like, that was one of the biggest regrets, was going not like going back into music full time. And like, I would have rather have spent time with my kids at home. I had a lot of fun with them. Yeah, after my missus like lost her job at the supermarket, she ended up getting a government job. And I ended up working at the same place as her, because yeah, the company that I was working for, I ended up making myself redundant. Because like, after I got promoted up to a shift supervisor, I was running a night shift at an engineering company. Like, I really didn't want to be, and that was sort of out of a necessity. It's like they needed someone to do the job, and the guy that they got in to do it, he was a flogger, so ended up causing a lot of trouble, and they needed someone in a pinch, and they asked me to do it, and I was like, yeah, alright, no worries. And yeah, I did it so well that I made that shift not necessary anymore, which was bogey. So I decided, yeah, I'm gonna quit working here now. I'm gonna go work in a motorbike shop, because that'd be fun, go and ride motorbikes all day. Turns out, no, you don't get to ride motorbikes, you get to wash motorbikes and watch other people ride them. And it's like, nah, this sucks. Didn't last very long there before I quit, and ended up working in the government job with the missus. I kind of got conned into that job. It's like they really needed staff, and I had the skills that they were looking for, so they talked me into it. I got to be friends with all those people because I went and DJ'd their Christmas function. That was funny as hell. Like, I wasn't expecting to do something like that, and yeah, they were a bunch of good people. Like, I thoroughly enjoyed working with them. The thing that I didn't like though was the structure of that particular department. The higher ups were problematic in what they expected us to do, and the safety issues that were involved ultimately ended up getting my partner killed. So, and as shit as it was, I still stuck it out for another 10 years after that. That was another regret, was not quitting that job when I had the money to. Now, like, because of that job, I'm crippled. Like, not just because of that job, but predominantly. Like, yeah, I got injured really bad consistently with that. So, yeah, don't like them at all. Don't have a nice thing to say about some of them. got a lot of nice things to say about a lot of them, though. Like, the people that I worked with were mostly good people. Up until later on, when I got transferred to a different section, that's when things got really bad. Having to work with some of the laziest people I've ever seen in my life. When you're doing a very manual job, and you know you were raised to work a certain way, like you work as hard as you can, like you know, make it worth the money that they're spending on you, sort of thing. And then you come across people whose attitude is they want to earn as much money as they can by expend as least amount of energy as they can. They call that being efficient, which I suppose is true in a way, but it is not a very nice place or working environment, that's for sure. I have absolutely no respect for those people. But it is what it is. After the laziest person I've ever worked with in my life got promoted to being my boss, because he was, I don't know, I think he was very good at like using the knee pads under the table sort of thing, the boss. But everybody knew he was a lazy prick. I don't know how the hell he got me promoted. I know why I didn't get, like, I put in for a promotion because I didn't want them to get it. Because I didn't want to get told what to do by them. It's basically, they wanted the promotion so they would have to do less. Which I don't know how they could do less. Some of those people. But turns out, yeah, no, what they can do is be more overt about it. They can do less while standing in front of you. Drives you crazy. Oh, yeah, the first time he tried to tell me off because he reckoned I wasn't working hard enough, I started having very nasty thoughts towards him, and it's like, no, I can't do this anymore. Like, it hurts to walk all the time, and one of my right shoulder was pretty knackered, still is, like, injured it pretty severely, and the job was not letting it get better. Like, he got injured, like, on the job a couple of times, and yeah, that injury just kept getting aggravated by the job. Like, different part of the job. Like the later part, it was just aggravating it because it was a very physical job I was doing. And, yeah, to get told that I'm not working hard enough and that all he does is sit in a chair and, like, pretend to write stuff up on the computer. It's like, I know you're not doing anything. Complaining shit's not getting done. I don't know. Maybe if you got off your ass and did something, something would happen. But yeah. I think the biggest thing that I found annoying though was the double standard. Like, I don't know why people expected so much more of me, but it's the story of my freaking life. Oh, you're capable of so much, you should be doing better. And it's like, yeah, well, what about the people that, like, you know, how come you don't pay me accordingly then? See, I thought we lived in a meritocratic society. That's not true. There is no such thing as a meritocracy. There is nothing but exploitation. reason why I never got promoted in that place was because it was not in their best interest. I was a good worker. I wasn't, like, if I was made a manager, then less stuff would get done. Or at least that's what they thought. But I think I had a pretty effective management style when I was at the engineering place. So, like, my shift was way more productive than both the other two shifts, and that's because of two reasons. One, we were on the night shift, so we didn't have people coming out, like, messing with the guys working out there, so they could get their shit done. And also, I said to them, look, do your job, do it well. That's all I care about. I don't care how you get it done, as long as it's safe. I'm not going to hover over you and tell you what to do. You're a tradesman, you know your job. Like, you know, I was dealing with welders, boilermakers, fitters, etc. They all knew what they were doing. They all knew how, well, most of them knew how to read a drawing and make stuff out of metal. All the labourers that I had working for me, their job was simple. It's like, that stuff needs this done to it, do it. If they had any problems, they came and asked. Otherwise, I'd leave them alone. Why? Because nobody wants to get told how to do everything while they're doing everything. Like, micromanagement is a shit idea. So I get bored being the supervisor, so I go out on the floor and I take on jobs and I go and make stuff. And then I got told off for that because they ran out of work. It's like, no, we want you to just sit in the office. And it's like, and do what? I don't know, read the paper. And it's like, I read the paper. I read every single bloody word of the paper. Would you like me to recite it to you? I feel like a dick doing that because they're out there lifting heavy things. Never have a problem. I don't know. Yeah, that's the only good thing about being the team leader was when I was, or not the team leader per se, but the supervisor, the leader of the team leaders sort of thing. Like, yeah, normally I don't like being in charge, but when I'm left alone like that, to be in charge like that, just let the guys do their job. If they know what they're doing, they'll come and ask you or tell you if there's a problem. I mean, I still had to go and check all the stuff and sign off on it, make sure that everything was made properly. But that was a QA accountability thing, so rarely I ever had a problem. And if I did run into a problem, like one of the guys had done something wrong, it's like, oh, you messed this up. Oh shit, sorry man. And they were really appreciative of me pointing out the mistake. Because they just overlooked it, but that's why we have QA like that. Only one time I've ever had somebody whinge to me about me saying that what they did wasn't good enough. Like, because, yeah, he hadn't had anything welded to a right angle, and one thing he actually welded back to front, it was fully mirrored to what it was supposed to be, and it probably took more effort to do it like that. And he goes, nah, it's good enough how it is. Because the welder ended up picking it up. Like, the Boilermakers would tack it all together, and then the welders would go through and weld everything, make sure that all the welds stayed square. Well, and if it's properly tacked and all the rest of that, then it shouldn't have been a problem, but the Boilermaker who put this stuff together, yeah, just did a appalling job of it, which it happens. You get some people that, like, he didn't really want to read drawings, turns out. He just wanted to burn wire and that was it. He wanted to do the welding, but he wanted to get paid as a Boilermaker, which is a different pay grade sort of thing. So yeah, like, to get around it, because he goes, well, what would you know? You're not a Boilermaker, rah rah rah. And it's like, yeah, but I can read a drawing. Look, your name's gone on this. Are you happy with the quality of this? Because this is representative of you. People, like, if I was to look at this, I'm not signing off on this. Like, because it's shit. And people are going to think that I'm shit, or a piece of shit? Because this is a piece of shit. Do you think you're a piece of shit? Or do you think higher of yourself? You know, because this is representative of you. Oh, well, no. It's like, well, take some pride in your work. Make it do what it's supposed to do or fit the requirements. I mean, it was a bit of a different time than it is now as well. Like, I reckon if I was to speak to somebody like that now, I would end up with them trying to get me sacked because I hurt their feelings. He seemed like the sort of person that might try that on. There was only one other time that I ever had a problem, and that's because like I ended up having to write someone up because he nearly killed himself. He was working on, we had a big CNC profile cutter. I used Oxy LPG torch to go and cut out like CAD drawings on a big thick steel plate. You know, some of these things were really thick and heavy, like 25-30 mil thick plate steel. Actually, I think the thickest that we ever had one on that was 40 mil. I could be wrong. I think we had 40 mil chrome moly on there one time. That was a freaking difficult day. But yeah, anyway, the guy who was running the profile cutter, he was a guy, where was he from? I think he was Sudanese. He was a nice guy. Got along with him just fine, but like I had to tell him several times about how he was lifting up the plate and like putting it on. We had a particular method. You're supposed to use like 4 dog clamps and the chains and the crane to pick it up and put it on the thing. He was only using 2, and he was balancing on one end, trying to counterweight it whilst operating the pendant crane with the other hand. And like I called him out on it a couple of times with some of the lighter ones. I said, look man, look, you can't do that. Use all the clamps. He goes, oh yeah, no worries, I'll do it. All the rest of this shit. And like I'd go and walk around the factory every half an hour to hour or so, like just to make sure that everything was okay, unless I got sidetracked to something else, just to make sure that everyone was still in one piece and there wasn't any disasters going on, and signing off on jobs that had been completed, doing the QA checks and all that other stuff, doing whatever I needed to do. But I'd make sure that I go walk around and just make sure that everything's still safe. No one's passed out or no one's set themselves on fire, which, you know, all sorts of things happened. Like, you know, you always want to make sure you got someone covering your back. You know, just looking out for the guys that I worked or had working under me. And yeah, I caught him 3 times in the one shift, and the third time I said, look, no, this is not on. I had to go and tell my production supervisor, like my supervisor, when he got in the next day, like in the morning. I said, yeah, look, you have to write him up, because like I told him 3 times, and yeah, he nearly squashed himself. Like we called him into the office, and you know, like we had no intention of sacking him, and he didn't get sacked. You know, like he was a great worker, he was a good guy. Like it's just he was cutting the wrong corners. And yeah, so we called him in there, and he gets all defensive and shit, and he starts banging on about like I was targeting him because he was black. And it's like, are you fucking kidding me? For a start, you don't know me, so you don't know my heritage and all the racist shit that I've had to deal with in my life. But second of all, it had nothing to do with that. Anybody who had been doing what you were doing would have copped the same shit. The last thing I want to do is go and hand your missus a shopping bag full of blood and guts, which is you that squirts out from underneath this 5-ton piece of plate after you drop it on yourself like a fucking Gumby. Anyway, I get told by the supervisor to leave the office, because as soon as he called me a racist, that was it was on. And he got his ass handed to him by my supervisor, who I've got to give props to, because there was nothing racist about it. I was calling him out on what he was doing, not because of who he was. And he apologized for it, which is good. Yeah, like, I had a chat about it later, and it's like, it had nothing to do with your skin color, man. I don't want to see you get hurt. If I was racist, I wouldn't have given a fuck. I would have let you kill yourself. But that's not who I am. I don't want to see anybody get hurt, especially over something silly like being lazy with using the dog clamps, putting it on the crane. It's like taking shortcuts like that is a good way to get yourself killed. So, like, that annoyed me a bit though, because like it was a ridiculous argument. Like, how is that racism? I have no idea. But that's what he thought it was. Well, actually, I think he knew that it wasn't. I think he was clutching at straws. Like, trying to get out of getting into trouble. So... okay, we have got 30 downward thrusters now, I think. That is 30, yeah, 15 on each side. So that should be able to lift us. Now let's add some more gyros. Now what I did over this side was added a whole bunch there. So I'll do the same thing on this side. The other thing I'll do is, like, I'm going to put landing gear on the bottom. So all we need to do is just get this down and get it locked to the ground or something like that. There's a few different ways I could go about this. If I have it so the landing gear is like it comes down so it's only one block up, that way I can still get to the cargo containers from ground level. So I'll be able to access everything from there. So I can get stuff out when it's on the ground level, and I don't have to worry about whether or not I've got a hydrogen tank on me, which I'll probably forget. The other thing I'll probably do is, I don't necessarily need to have the drills on like this. What I was thinking of doing is having it so that I can plunge the drills down, like just fly over where an ore patch is and just plunge down really deep into the ground, like, and put this as a horizontal thing so it goes straight down. We may need a lot more hydrogen storage to be able to do that for any length of time. But yeah, we could plunge into the ice lake to refill our ice when we get down there. And anyway, let's put on those gyros before I get too sidetracked. We need steel plate. Yeah, everything's come together quite well. Like, this is not a particularly hard thing to do, like getting all this stuff set up. We just run these all the way along here. Yep, that looks fine. So chuck all the gyros along here. Also check the PCU limit to see how much we got left, because I used up quite a bit of it with those guns on this thing. So even though this thing's quite small, like, all the guns on it are occupying a lot of the PCU. So anyway, how many did I put down? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, about 10. So let's put 10 of those on production. Probably should have done that. Shift click. Sorry, control click for 10. Okay, the build planner I think is wrong. Yeah, work ethic is a problem. Well, it's not so much the work ethic being the problem, it's the people working with people that have a very different work ethic. I've always struggled with it because it's like, well, we're all supposed to be equal, and yet I'm supposed to do 3 times the amount as what you are, otherwise I get told off. What the fuck? Like, that was something that I just never understood, is how come I get told off? When I do a lot more than you. That was the government job, though. I mean, if I was to run a business now, I'd rather pay my staff for the job that they do, rather than the amount of time they spend there. Because I would much rather they get the job done and then they can go home. Like, they can make the money if they want to, they just do more work, rather than spend more time doing the work. Like, if I was running a business again, that is how I would employ staff. I'd say, look, you know, I'm hiring you to do a job. I'm not hiring you to spend time here. So, like, it's a bit different in the service industry because you need to be there, right? Like, if I was running a coffee shop, let's say, you need people, you need your staff there, so when customers turn up, they can be served. But working in the factory and stuff like that, I think it would be, you'd end up with better productivity if you paid people a fair price for the amount of work they did. Or if you were working in transport, you paid people a fair price for the amount of product they moved. And it would completely get rid of the problem of lazy people dragging everyone else down and everyone else having to carry them. The social loafers. But I'm too old to change the world, I think. Not that I really wanted to change the world, I just wanted to improve the part of the world that I reside in. I'm not interested in telling anybody who doesn't want to make their, if they didn't want to work with me, then that was fine. I wouldn't make them. But I didn't want anybody to have to carry anybody else needlessly. Like, it'd be a bit different if I was in the military or something like that, where you've got to support each other and you rely on each other and all that sort of stuff. Like, you know, you're putting your life in somebody else's hands, per se. Like, I have a lot of respect for those guys. I was definitely drawn to the military when I was younger. Still am in a lot of ways, because, you know, there's a lot of my life that, you know, I've been missing that sort of support,
Energy low.
like, from peers, so to say. Like, I've always found myself working with a lot of unreliable people. So, yeah, if I can't do it myself, then I don't bother doing it. Like, that's not to say that I haven't worked with a lot of people that can be relied on. But those people are rare. But they're not in the military, because it is a matter of life and death. I mean, there probably still are people like that, but I can't imagine that they last too long. Although, like, I've heard from some people that I've known that have been in the military, usually those people that don't last there, they either fail out or they fail up. But some of the most respected people in the military in history have been commanders or whatever, who, like, leaders who lead their subordinates by showing them the way rather than telling them what to do. Your boss is someone who tells you what to do. A leader is someone who shows you the way, sets the example. And I've always tried to lead by example. But the unfortunate thing is that that's not always the most productive way to get ahead. In fact, it can end up dragging you down. But, you know, I only ever stay true to who I am, because that's all I can be. Oh, you've got a little bit more assertion now with the way we're moving. We're still really, really heavy. Well, we've lost a fair amount of mass. Like, we're about half the way was what we were before. Now, I could drop it more by getting rid of some of those extra cargo containers. But I think we'll be fine. The other consideration here is that this is taken into account the mass of the other ship too. Like the small ship on the, well, it's not really small, but the gunship on the back there. Now, if I was to take the gunship down separately, which I could do, because I can just take a couple of bottles and fly back up to the gunship and fly that down separate. But where's the fun in that? If it's not risky, it's not as much fun, is it? But anyway, I think we are ready to go planetside. Just the guys that are going to go down and pick up aren't here now. So, kind of makes it a little bit redundant. I have a chat with Godsticks. We have a look. We've got stacks of hydrogen, so I mean we could stick heaps more tanks on. Something else to check, thinking about it, is can't do it there. All that stuff we just added on, we've still got 3,487 PCU left, so we should be able to make up another small base, and I'll just I'll build it and show the guys how to do it. Probably the easiest way. But I suspect that they already know how to do it. I think there's just because they've played it before on Xbox, even though like that sounds like it'd be a struggle. Like trying to play with a controller, more to the point. Like I think the Xbox can probably do it perfectly fine. But yeah, the interface, I think, it would be a nightmare trying to play with that. But that being said, you know, if that's what you're used to. Some people prefer it. I've only ever played this game with a mouse and keyboard. Like this player that I'm chatting to now gifted the base that was destroyed over on Mars to the other guy. I went and ran some stuff out to him as well. Like I dropped some stuff over at the base, but the base got nuked and that stuff got stolen. So well, not stolen, but yeah, he just got annihilated. They did it just for the fun of destroying it. I think I'll just mine a bunch more stuff. Without build vision, it's kind of hard to see what all the hydrogen tanks are doing. But I might add a bunch more on, I don't know. I just don't want to run out because there's not really a hell of a lot there. So yeah, I think I'll jump over to where that ice is anyway. This asteroid I yeeted into. First time playing in an open server and just smacked right into it due to lag, and yeah, destroyed the ship that I had at the time, like almost entirely. And so I ended up just making a base there because I managed to collect up a lot of the stuff that like I had collected. Just trying to find, there it is. Hey, there's still base parts there by the look of things. Hey, there's still faction members there. I wonder how much of the old base is still there. It's like there was a huge... Whoa. I don't know whose ship that is. So yeah, we had a massive station here. Let's get out and have a look and see who owns what. This belongs to Nick Funky Monkey. Bunny Monkey, sorry. I thought he was still in my faction. Wonder where he went. Oh, I wonder which faction he joined up with. Whose ship's this? Whoa. I got nothing against him. I'm not going to destroy his stuff. That's Cody's. That's Cody's. That's Jazz's. Like, Jazza had this massive, like, space station here. Though, yeah, like, it got to a point where, yeah, he just bailed on it, it seemed. But this is where the ice base was. Massive, like, bored out in here. Cody ended up building some stuff in here. This is still probably Cody's. Yep. Except I'm pretty sure Cody's moved his base somewhere else. So I'm gonna have to, like, next time I see him on, I'm gonna show him how to delete all of these grids. Because he's probably not going to come back here. Yeah, it's kind of tragic how the base got wiped out. Zarozak, is that Zarozak's? Yep, all of Zarozak's stuff got destroyed as well. Zarozak has been playing this game for a long time, he's very good at it. He had a massive ship. Like, when he first turned up, he turned up in this 20,000 PCU ship from 130,000 Ks away. It was crazy. But yeah, like, the problem is with all of these grids here, for the people that own them, is if they still play the game on this server, it's coming out of their PCU limit. So that'll cause some grief. Like, yeah. Are these connected here? They're 125 PCU. If you have a lot of them on your base, like, it can cause you grief. I found out the hard way. But yeah, that's not good. Still turns really poorly, but considering how big it is, we had 11 million kilos. Yeah, when that base was, like, going well, it was pretty epic. But unfortunately, this server only has 16 players, and we were, at some points there was 10 of us on at the same time. It was a lot of fun when there was all 10 of us on. Well, actually there was more than 10, but all new players, and the whole point was, like, you know, we all pooled our resources and stuff like that to build really cool stuff, and, like, we could pump out ships really quick that way. Like, some of the other guys made some really cool looking ships. I don't know whether Marty moved his ship, from what he said. Mine got destroyed, just because, like, yeah, I couldn't get back into the safe zone, unfortunately. But shit happens. I ended up respawning on Cody's ship, which I ended up having to get it. I turned off his survival kit. I don't think I put a GPS marker, but yeah, I couldn't respawn in a drop pod, which is what I wanted to do when I started this stream up. So, but what I remember seeing there, Cody was in a survival, he was in a cryopod, so everything looked like it was working just fine. I don't think I took a GPS of where it was though, so I don't know if I could get back there. But he's got it well hidden. I'm pretty sure he's hiding in an asteroid at the moment, so like yeah, he would be very difficult to stumble across until he logs back in. So then if somebody wanted to go find him, they probably could. If they were skilled and motivated enough, they could go and hunt him down, chasing after the unknown signals. Hopefully nobody does. I mean, he's only 12 and he's doing alright. So, like, from what I saw at least anyway. Now, the thing I don't understand is when people go and destroy other people's ships and stuff like that, is they don't do it to try and recover the resources. They just do it to watch it explode. It's like, what's the point? I don't know. I suppose to some people that is the point, I guess. Everyone's different. Everybody gets different things out of the game, I guess. That being said, if I was to come across somebody that was going and doing that sort of stuff to other people, I would just go and nuke their shit just for the fun of it. Like, I wouldn't necessarily be going after all of the materials and stuff because it's easier to mine it. But, like, I play it for different reasons. I play it because I like to make things. Probably don't want to hang around here because this is obviously a known spot. So I'm just going to take a good amount of ice and then I'm going to go somewhere else away from here. I mean, the station that I had set up, we had set it up with jump drives and stuff like that as well, so we were intending to move the whole thing because once the location got known to a lot of other people, like even though we had a safe zone up, as soon as there was a glitch with it, I think we ran out of uranium and the safe zone went down and someone got in and like yeah, change the permissions on it. Like one of the other factions went and helped me out with it. He went and put a whole bunch of uranium in there for me to try and keep it going. I was busy running the stream on AU2 at the time, just mainly because I'd run out of I was just managing a station and I didn't really want to do that. So, and like I was at the PCU limit and I was really struggling with what to do. I didn't really want to just sit here and manage resources and stuff like that. It's getting a little tedious and it started to feel like work and I was like, oh, it's supposed to be a game. Yeah, a huge amount of ice stick on a bunch of hydrogen tanks, and that will probably be it for the stream after like I've moved. Yeah. But as it is now, I mean, even if I was to fill this all the way up, I should be able to land it. As long as we go down flat. Though we might need more gyros. But yeah, we should be able to land. Let's turn off those. Yeah, we'll just burn away from here. Don't need to jump any great distance or anything like that. We just need to be far enough away that we're not going to get noticed. How many tanks to put on is the next question. Might just put a shitload. What is it? Maybe 20. So that way we've got stacks of time and like burn time for the hydrogen engines, because we have that many of them, and we can always break this down later as well. We don't need to have this many refineries and so on and so forth, but it is handy. How far away are we? Now we are a little defended at the moment because I've got the gunship on me here. There are certain angles that are going to be better defended than others. Actually, it might be worth going and the other thing I should do is turn that beacon off, so that way if somebody comes nearby whilst I am not on, yeah, it does seem to be a little bit hostile around here, which is not the worst thing in the world, but you know, it could be fun. But I don't want the base ship to get annihilated. That's what I built the gunship for. Well, not to get annihilated, but go and have fun with. Like, it's not the best designed ship. There's still a lot of stuff that I haven't finished yet. Just having a little bit of trouble trying to figure it out. Like, some days I can do it very easily and the ideas just flow. Other days, not so much. It feels like I'm constantly fighting with it. There's another damn unknown signal, which is going to let people know where I am, unfortunately, but doesn't seem to be anybody on. really gonna try to cause me any grief. Hope not. It's mainly because, like, the goal at the moment is to go and help the new guys, like, next time they log back on, so... Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've said it many times before, but one of the things that really bums me out is when people go and ruin the game for other people. Now, I understand, like, if someone was to go after me, it's like, yeah, fair enough, you know, like, I'm pretty experienced, like, I'm not the best person at PvP, and I'll probably find it a little frustrating and irritating and shit, but, you know, I should know better. Like, I've been playing this game for a long time. Got a lot of hours into it. So, yeah, you know, someone goes at me, I'm fair game. But someone who's had the game for, like, a few hours, that's a bit wrong, in my opinion. Because what you're going to end up doing is making someone want to go and get their money back. And if they go and get their money back from the game developer, then they're gonna, or if they start losing money in the game, or not making money in the game, then they're gonna stop supporting the game. And that to me sucks, because this is a great game. The devs have done a great job over the years getting this game to be what it is now. A lot of support. I've got to give them props. They've done an amazing job with it. From where it was when it was in early access to where it is now. It's extraordinary. And I've just stumbled across some uranium. See if I can find that without killing myself. What I'll do for the hydrogen tanks is I'll just put a bunch of them, turn backwards thrusters on. Should mine that uranium as well, but I don't think I will right now. I'll get back to that later. What I will do is I'm going to take out this hydrogen thruster here.
Inventory full.
Come back parts. And I'll do the same thing on this side, and I'm just going to have a long line of hydrogen tanks straight off of there.
Inventory full.
Damn it. Alright, try to tanks on, because yeah, I should be able to get all these tanks filled up. The amount of ice I just put on, got shitloads of O2H2 gens, so I should be able to stick a bunch of these on and fill them up. it's not interfering with anything, so that's good. Still got 5 here. Sticking true with the go big or go home method, or mentality, modus operandi, whatever. Chuck 20 hydrogen tanks on here, and that should be stacks of hydrogen for whatever when you get down to the planet. I'll put the landing gear on later. I'll just get these built up first. Steel plate. Production. Make 20 of those. Probably already have the parts for it, but don't like waiting parts. It's tedious and irritating and so on and so forth. Wanted now. Oh, that was too many. Not that it matters, but hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, can't wait to it. So let's get those tanks built. So we'll chuck everything back in there. What I'm doing there is using the build planner and going between the middle mouse button and left click. So I right click here, add to build planner, and a middle mouse button, and it takes out the parts and repeat. And this is the fastest way to build stuff without using the ship welder to do it. I've found, at least anyway. But that's only if you can get to the and that's double click to keep the welder on, so it's hands free. And in a lot of ways it's actually quicker to do it this way, unless you've got a yeah, a really good ship for producing stuff. Like this ship would be really good for building stuff. Like if I wanted to, like if other people were to lay parts, I could just go and weld them up, like which is what I may do to the other guys, and get them to lay down the parts and use the ship to weld it up. And that's the other reason why I want all the hydrogen tanks. So that way, yeah, we can fly around, take our time. I put the welders in a position where I can easily maneuver the ship. So, and it'll save us a lot of time with building stuff. Like, cause yeah, the difficult thing is working out where to put everything and stuff like that, as well as having to grind through getting the resources up. this game, the other thing about it is that it does take a long time to play. Like you gotta, well, it's not so much, like you can do it quickly, but it is a time consuming thing. I mean, regardless of whether you're playing on an open server, like a server with greater limits or whatever, like with this one, the backpack size is quite small. Now, if we have a look, we'll see we're only at half our hydrogen capacity, or thereabouts. So we're going to be able to turn all that ice that we collected into fuel. And in fact, what would be a benefit is like the hydrogen tanks don't change their weight when they get full. They're always the same. The tanks are always the same weight. So we're lightening the ship by processing the ice and gaining fuel from it. So it's always a bonus. But yeah, putting more thrusters on would be handy as well, like in the other directions. So like we've only got 2 on the front, 2 on the side, and 2 on the top. We don't really need the top ones. We probably could do with a couple more, like down thrusters on each side. But the other forwards and sidewards definitely need those, I think. So what I might do, and also reverse thrusters as well, so backwards thrusters, which is those ones there. Oh, we still got more hydrogen tanks to make. I only did one side. Thought I did both sides. Wasn't paying enough attention to what I was doing. It's a bit of a Gumby move there. But it's no big deal. And if you are going to use this particular method, what I've found is only doing one tank at a time. If you put them all on your build planner, you'll end up pulling out parts that you can't weld up on the tank that you're trying to weld up. And you'll end up getting jammed up. And once you've welded past a certain point, you can't get to the cargo port, and it becomes a pain in the ass. So, like, if you haven't seen it before, yeah, it will make your life easier. I mean, I could double click on now, and then just spam the middle mouse button trying to click it enough times, but what usually happens with this is, I'll give it a shot. Sometimes it works, sometimes it welds up too fast, and I can't get all the parts out. It becomes how quickly can you click the middle mouse button. But it is slightly quicker when you're doing a lot of stuff. Makes a pretty big difference, especially if you have limited patience for doing things like this. Tedious stuff, and we are out of steel tubes. Production. Okay, so put those to production, and what I'll do is go to production here, chuck another 10 of those on, I added 10 each side. That's what the problem was. Because it should have enough steel plate. Might run out of large tubes. And I had a pretty good stockpile of steel plate. Was running out of construction components quite a bit. There we go. Clear the build planner. Only got one more tank to do. Hopefully we've got enough parts for it. Oh, component successfully withdrawn. Nice. Now if we have a look and see how much hydrogen we got, it's probably going to be significantly less in the storage. Oh, we're at 50% still. We do have a lot of O2H2 gens on this thing, which are just pumping out mountains of gas, so it's going to fill those things up real fast. So I think we are not far off of ready to try to land it on the planet, but don't have a destination yet until the other guys jump back on. Like any of the other players who needed help, it was those two guys. Can't remember their names off the top of my head. So I'm horrible with names. I do remember the Dylan guy. He was the first guy I was talking to, and then he had to bail out. He was also on Earth somewhere. I think I have a GPS for him. But when he first sent me the message, I was a long way away from him. So it was taking me a while to get there, and yeah, he was in Struggle Town a little bit, it seemed. Something else I will do. So I'll add them all into the group so I can turn them all off. And there's a lot of them there. It would be easier to just attach the gunship, but okay, kill the lights. Check the inventory. Oh, we've still got mountains of uranium there. Got stacks of platinum. Stacks of everything. So I don't think we're going to run out of anything anytime soon. Chuck everything, all the ingots to there. And we got stacks of iron. I wouldn't say stacks of uranium, but there's a lot there. It's going to last quite a while. we did drop off. I think it was, what is it? 246k of iron over to the alphabet kid. Components here. Magnesium. More components. That's where they went. Probably not going to mine cobalt again for quite some time, because it is a bit frustrating how cobalt jams everything up, but like, yeah, I'm at resource utopia now, so I'm more than happy to help out other players with whatever they need. So yeah, if you are watching the stream and you do need anything, hit me up. I'm more than happy to share resources around and whatnot. I have no issues with that whatsoever. Because it gives, like, you know, you got to create your own objectives in the game. Like, after a certain point, it's like, what do I do now? Well, let's go and create a mission. Or let's go and find a problem to solve. Go and help people out. The reason why I don't have a hell of a lot of magnesium here is because I made all those shells. A lot of gold. Oh no, we do have well, we've got a bit. That's not a lot. Like megatons is what, you know, would be, you would want to see with that to think, yeah, I've got enough. Same with uranium and silver. Silver processes fairly quickly. Megatons of magnesium processed like this, magnesium powder. If you're gonna go into battle, you want, like, to be able to pump out all your ammunition that you need. Like, what is it? Gatling ammo, artillery shells. Like, production for the artillery shells, you need magnesium and uranium. For the railguns, you need uranium. Like everything else, obviously, but for the assault cannon shells, you only need magnesium. For the missiles, you need platinum, as well as uranium and magnesium. And those three things are very slow to process. That's the biggest drawback with them. Like processing gold, magnesium, uranium, and platinum. Very, very slow to process those. Like from ores to ingots. So, but yeah, we are pretty much ready to go. I mean, you could work on making that, making the gunship, like building a cockpit on it, but it's tedious. And I get in the zone, I don't really have a lot to say. I don't think that makes for good content. But if you do want to see it, let me know. Or see me doing stuff like that. Like, yeah. But anyway. I'm gonna let that all do its thing. Actually, probably what I should have checked was how much ice do we currently have still, because we're going to be processing that very fast. We still got a megaton there, half a megaton there. Oh, we still got a lot of ice, so that's good. Let's rearrange that a little bit. So yeah, we got plenty of ice to process. There's my hydrogen bottles I made earlier. We've still got more ice in the small cargo containers. We have a look at our, like, we're up to 52%, so I wonder how close to being full we're going to get next time we log on. Just have to wait and see, I guess. Anyway, like I said, if you have been watching, cheers. Yeah, like, it should be interesting to see what's going to happen later on. Don't really feel like stuffing about too much right now. Try to stay focused on helping those guys out if I can next time they're on. Like, if they come back on, like, anytime soon. So, and yeah, if anybody else wants a hand or wants to learn how learn the game or anything like that, wants to jump on with me, I'm more than happy to. Yeah, it'd be fun. Hit me up. And I'll see you all next time.